Okay, let's see what is up right now. Sorry guys, I lost the internet connection due to the kids. Sometimes happens that they don't want to listen to me being busy. So let's see if this works. If we got anyone here, not yet, but that's okay. We can start, I guess. I'm gonna type something on the chat to make you at least to say hi. Okay, the count is here. The chat is open, so guys can ask any questions. I should also receive them as notifications, so it should be fine. Okay, what do we have so far and what we don't have yet? I think have two different JMeters. Okay, this one is the one I had used. Although it is not the latest version, I think we should be enough and we should be good with that. There are a couple of things that we have already implemented. OpenTelemetry, this is working fine, I guess. So if I just click here, if I just open the DevPerfOps, I should be opening some pages. This guy should be waiting for the duration of my timeout. That's very important. We should be able to create the samplers with the duration of actual rendering and then manipulations of the website, not including the timeout we had. So maybe I can show you the code here, how it looks like. This is still a bit messy configuration. I know that it requires some refactoring, so that's why the session here, we can modify it slightly. This is the initialization of the OpenTelemetry. In here, I have the configuration of the Chrome driver. With the options, I'm specifically injecting my own extension I have. So this is the JavaScript files I have created to measure the OpenTelemetry and to inject to measure the core web vitals and to inject the web vitals library into every single page I open. So this is happening only for my Selenium web drivers. I'm also opening the DevTools, so this is why we can see here the DevTools console here. I don't have any proxy here, so that's it for the Chrome driver. A simple step to set up OpenTelemetry and the core web vitals. So in here, I create all the listeners and the communication between JMeter and the Selenium web driver. So these are all the listeners on certain events. I'm capturing all the network events. I'm capturing, what else am I capturing? I think the network is the only one that I've captured. This DevTools API also allows to capture the page events. I have dropped this idea because it had interrupted my network calls. So whenever the page event has been triggered, it was detected by the network capture and had produced some funny results in my OpenTelemetry. So instead of seeing the browser calls, I have actually seen the call communication between the JMeter, so between the JVM and the web driver. So to avoid that, I have moved the page event monitoring straight into the JavaScript library. So the page events are recorded inside the browser. Let me just open this workspace here. What is that? Must be somewhere here. You can see that someone has joined the stream, so welcome. I know it's Sunday, it's not a mood for development, so you are very welcome here. Okay, where did I hold the documents? Where do I hold all the documents? Oh, sorry, that's my kid entering the room. Where was that? See, my mind is so blurry today, and I still have to finish that. I'll be looking at desktop. And this will be somewhere on the Apache. What's the desktop here? Pretty sure this will be here under the JMeter stuff. Yep, that's the one here. So these are the JavaScript files injecting into every single page. Sometimes it happens that they are injected before the web page is loaded. So at the document start, there is also a document idle. So some functions are only defined when the document has stopped rendering. Was there the inject.js? This guy is injecting the web vitals and also add the callbacks onto each occurrence of web vitals onto web vitals library. Kochanie, możesz się to nie przybierać przed kamerą? Sorry, that's yeah. And inject web vitals. Janka. Dobra, nic, już nieważne. And inject web. That's the same actually. So I think we have a duplicate here. So it's one of the reasons we're gonna touch this code is to avoid duplications. So inject web vitals. This guy is actually the same as here, right? I'm not sure we add this inject.js. I think we can easily just delete that. And how do we delete a file in the... Okay, it's just delete. I'm gonna move it to trash. We are not going to need this one here. So this piece of code, this defines all the retrieval functions. So these are the functions I'm going to be calling with my JMeter. So these are exactly the commands I'll be using. They have to be defined after the document has been loaded, and that's what I assume these functions will be called. So it contains a few steps. Define retrieval function, get core web vitals. Okay, so one of this is get core web vitals. Core web vitals, they are also stored into the local storage of the window, so of the open window. That's why I'm going to use the local storage of the window to retrieve them. There is really no I haven't found a significant or meaningful way to make sure that I have captured all the web vitals when the page has been fully loaded. So that's one of the challenges there are in terms of the measurements that with the load testing tool. I cannot guarantee that all of the web vitals will be recorded like on the on each step that you execute. And this all depends right now on the timeout value that you have defined. So, and we're gonna touch on that later as well. The next callback, next function is the get page events. So similar to core web vitals, the page events are captured and stored in the local storage of the window, and they will be then extracted. They will be extracted by the Selenium WebDriver. So I'm gonna simply download them, just have a copy of them from local storage to JMeter, and that's about it. I'm also here defining a function to wait for all the tasks is complete. That's my implementation of a timeout value. So if I call this prematurely, or like I don't want to wait for some certain time for this timeout, this function is going to make sure that I can either extract the events because the time all the tasks have been completed, or I'm going to wait until this first timeout. right? So this is a blocking function that I have, and this is a blocking on purpose to make sure I don't prematurely extract the core web vitals or the page events from the page, right? That's why it returns a promise. So I'd actually, and this is going to be waiting for any occurrence of the event, which is called all tasks complete. Then I am actually going to get the okay. This is going to get me the timestamp of this event. So it's very important for synchronizing the events and for me to accurately measure the events when I wait for this timeout. So yeah, that's actually important for me, because if I just rely on the system clock from the JMeter and I wait for the duration of the loading the page and loading all the widgets and stuff, and then wait for the timeout so that I don't accidentally miss any event on the browser, then this timeout will also be included in the in my measurements. So instead, I'm waiting for this page to fully load. I wait for some time to make sure that no other events have popped up on the window, no other calls have been made by the browser, and then if it's not there, if I don't have any events like that, I'm going to take the timestamp of the last event that had occurred inside the browser. Right, and this is how I'm gonna wait physically for this duration, for this longer duration, but then I just gotta use the timestamp to make sure my measurements only include the browser events and not the logic behind. This is like a very simplification of the entire process, and the purpose of that is to make sure that you don't miss any page events with the expected what's that? What was the name of the class? Was it expected conditions of the web browser, right? So we're not gonna need the expected conditions anywhere. We're not gonna wait for any certain events. So the web driver wait. This will also disappear in here. We can simply just delete it, right? And by all of this, I don't even need to define any events as such, right? I know, and that's the goal here of this very simplification of this script, that I can just define this execution of the script saying, hey, wait for all the tasks to be completed. And this is going to make sure that I have completed and the page is fully loaded, and I don't no longer have to wait for this some element to be ready or not, right? This should be taking care of that as well. So that's about it. I have some logic here. You can see that the code here is just pretty messy still. One point is that it's a WebDriver sampler, so it has some WDS logic here, so it's not as pretty as it could be. I also put some span attributes, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so here span events. That's actually not half bad when it comes to the implementation. Here I end the sample, and here you can see I'm overriding the elapsed time, right? So here I'm just doing, hey, this is the browser idle timestamp, and so I'm just taking this timestamp of when the browser was idle, meaning that my last event occurred on the front end, minus the start time, and this gives me the elapsed time of my measurements, right? And I have to also do the same for my sampler. For my span to OpenTelemetry, right? I have these propagators here, and span logic would also attempt to get the span end time, right? This means you can override your span end time regardless of when it actually started. Normally, if you just invoke the span end, this will take the current timestamp, right? The current instance. I think it's in Java, but you can also override it. It's not recommended for the applications, but since we have invoked and included this, it's sort of asynchronous processing. Then overriding the timestamp is a valid thing to do. You can also, I think, override the start of the span with some attributes. But that's about it. Okay, so we are starting the span. This, I think, really belongs to a separate plugin. So what I'm thinking, but not for today, this whole OpenTelemetry, this should be a plugin for the JMeter. The problem here is it cannot be just a single plugin, because there is no element that would cover both pre and post processors. So I'll have to probably create a plugin including the configuration. So this guy here, like initialization of a tracer, and also I'll have to go with pre and post processors, with attributes like overrides with some default attributes, stuff like that. So this could be a bit of work. For now, I'm just fine with these, pre-post processors. This should be all right. But later on, we can, if really people start using that, because I know that many projects, many companies have not adopted the OpenTelemetry yet, or they won't even. So, not sure how urgent that would be. If someone benefits from that, and someone wants to see that, I mean, you can also contact me. We can think of something. The last step here is click manifesto. This guy. Okay, we are also waiting here for all the tasks to be complete. That's actually pretty good, right? One of the problems with this implementation right now is that timeout is a static, so I cannot override it in the runtime. This leads to some weird or unexpected behavior. Maybe not unexpected, but that's something to think about also later. Because I have those background events and background listeners, and I have, for example, here a 10-second timestamp. Like there was a 10-second timeout. Right now, I'm changing that to 5 seconds. Once you have set it up, you won't be able to override it, because it's somewhere here. You know what? Maybe you could override it. Yeah, but right now it's static, right? So, and what it means is, even if you don't, for example, fully reload your page, you only click some element and you want to wait for all those tasks to be completed. Like I said, right now, let's do 5 seconds timeout. Let's run the test. Just gonna close this page here. Right now, if you try to invoke this wait for all tasks to be complete thing, clean the errors, it is going to wait for 5 seconds after every single action you do and want to assert on, right? So this is the opening the page. It was 5 seconds. Now I'm just rolling the navbar. It was 5 seconds, and then right now the manifesto, this also took 5 seconds, right? And probably potentially there'll have to be a way to override this to some lower timeouts, lower values, especially for these these actions that do not invoke any network events, right? So I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe whether it should be user overridden on the runtime. Probably not, because that's a bit of work on the development side. So maybe a configuration item. So if it invoked any network call, then it should take longer. Like if there's anything running on the background from network, maybe that's something to think about. Because right now, if you open the network tab, this navbar, for example, this doesn't do any calls, right? But if I hit the manifesto here, it starts and it opens up the new page. So and that's something to think about for later, I guess. And the only thing really that I care about for this rollout of this navbar is the INP web vital. So the INP in this case was 0, right? But it was measured by the core web vitals, and I also want to track that. On the other hand, for example, when I open a manifesto page, see those CLS values, I want to make sure that these don't change when I open the page, right? This is exactly why the CLS has been introduced as a core web vital, because page have been shifting away for some time, right? And only I can only define after a few seconds whether it has stopped or not doing so, right? And after this event, I can, with some confidence, that's just my camera effects, I guess. With some confidence, I can guess retrieve the CLS here to make sure that it's completed. Otherwise, if you just wait for some specific element to be clickable or whatever condition you come up with, you may not have the option to get the CLS. And if you report them on the wrong values, like, okay, this doesn't differ much right now. So from the page had opened until the last event had been reported. But there can be situations when when you had a low CLS at the first, and then some pop-up shows up here, and it's going to completely mess up the layout of your page, right? And that's exactly the situation I want to avoid, right? And for example, here, clicks like that, they would also report on the INP, right? And if the INP is incomplete, I'm just waiting for all the events. This is effectively a DOM manipulation. All the tasks are complete. There was no new web driver reported. Web vitals reported. So that's about it. So one thing to remember, and for the future, will be to override or to somehow manipulate the timeout values here, so that I do not have to wait 5 seconds after I just did an action like that. Cool. What else was there? What else is there? This, I think it could also be easily automated with some as some sort of a plugin for the folks. Although I'm not sure yet, because I don't know to what extent we should allow the users to modify that and validate it. One of the things that probably has to be changed is, what is that? The DevTools, this parameter, I think it should be changed. I'm not sure how the WebDriver sampler is, whether it's cache compiled or not, but it probably should be something like parameter. So the Chrome, this should be a property like Chrome major version, and then like v125. I'm sorry, I have my keys signed to change the scenes for my OBS. This guy, like something like this. I think this should cover the properties, right? For the best practice, really what you could do is also to get this config element here, and what's that? Sample config element. So you can just Chrome major version, and then you just create a property here. Again, my keys here. Okay, v125. That's the property. I think I can delete these guys here. Yep. So that's a config element. And then I should be able to, this guy, I should just be able to do like that. This really depends. If I can do that, this means this script is not cache compiled. That's not good. Let's verify that. That's something I want to validate. Delete this guy. If I get some unexpected errors on the network monitoring, this means it doesn't work. But it looks like it works. That's bad. That's one of the situations when something works, you question the implementation, right? If this was cache compiled, and probably this resolution shouldn't be working. Like this shouldn't just add those variables from runtime, or maybe if it does that after the first invocation, not sure. Okay, what's the error here? There were some errors. What was the error though? Oh no, actually it unexpected input. Okay, so you cannot just add here this property. Okay, so it did throw an error. That's and that's during compilation. Not sure how to interpret that. The thing is, I want and I have to do it like that because that's how the dev tools are implemented. So I have to know the major version of my browser to effectively manage it. I'll think about how to do that. Because if you just, delete the version here, it's not going to work. It's just version specific. Okay. So you have here the network. Let's see if I have recovered from this change. So that's something also to fix, right? Otherwise, switching and changing between the versions would constantly require you to update this class here, and I really want to avoid that. What else was there? Commented code. Damn, sure I don't want that. There's a commented code. There is a and span network enable. Okay, that's what I need here. Oh, there was this one command that has actually been deprecated, and I think it was the request intercepted, if I recall correctly. So I'm pretty sure intercepted. I'm pretty sure this one was the deprecated. Yes. Use fetch request paused. That's something I knew I would have to will have to do and validate. So it's a network model. Request intercepted. This is actually the call. And if I recall correctly, hold on a second. Am I actually using that for anything? Am I actually using that for anything? What's the code here doing? Request intercepted. Okay, so I'm going to here and accept. I'm getting the request ID. That's an odd implementation. I think it should work like that. Oh, okay, this is just a try and catch block. This is what I actually, okay, that's the entry point for my spans, right? I guess, or a potential entry point for my spans. So this is where I get I'll create a span here. I get the request ID, so that's my mapping. That's an important piece. I add all the headers. Oh, that's a very important piece. This is where I add the headers to my request. And I really hope I could do that later as well. If not, I might be in trouble because if I don't have the ability to inject the headers, I'm effectively losing my integration with any application to the OpenTelemetry. So I am losing the stream overview here. Just a second. Okay, should be good. So this method here, requesting the callback or request intercepted, is very important because in here I'm getting all the I can modify the headers, right? And this is where I put the trace parent header. This is an OpenTelemetry header, which contains my trace ID, my span ID, and some. The other one was what was that? Some 2 bytes or two digits, whether to propagate or not the request. So that's how the OpenTelemetry is correlating your request with responses and between the services. That's why I can draw out the maps of your services, how they communicate with each other. So I'm putting those headers there and I'm overriding them. Okay, that's just very important. Let's see what does the fetch request paused does instead. Is it even on a model here? Where is that? Java docs. See, this guy is putting here. Is there a way to easily get the fetch? Yeah, I need to use this method. Where is that exactly? All right. That's a package here, but it's a model package. Just the fetch may not be in the model. Why is that not there? It's in a network. This is a fetch model. I'm pretty sure this should be like that. Domain for letting clients substitute browser network layer with client code. Yeah, that's the one I want. So these are the DevTools commands I can listen to, I guess. One of them will be request paused. What is that? Yeah, I'm not sure I want to touch that as a request paused, because that's only the event here. Oh no, actually I could override it here. Usually when the domain is enabled. Okay, so I need to enable the fetch domain, I guess, and the request URL matches the specified filter. Okay, I'm just gonna use all, and then like for this activity, I think it should be fine. Request a pause until the client responds with one continue request, fail request, full request. Stage of the request can be determined by presence of a response reason, response status code. The request is at the response stage if either of these fields is present, and in the request stage otherwise. Okay, so if there's a response reason or response status code, it is in the response stage. What are other stages though? Okay, so this request will be paused until the client responds with these messages. Huh. That's interesting. I wonder what the implementation would look like. But in general, I have the request pause, so it's going to get me this request pause here. That's the constructor, so I get a frame ID, I get the request ID, these are important. And network ID, that's fine. These are the response headers. I really don't want the response headers though. This is going to give me the request. Right, can I get the request here? Get details of the request. I need the request ID for my correlation. And I'm also gonna need a request right here. This is going to take a while. What time do we have? Okay, it's past 6 here. I'm not sure I'm gonna do it today, but that's something definitely worth validating, because if I just use the deprecated methods, it will probably bite me sooner or later. Huh? Okay, I can see that there is no one on the stream, so thank you anyways, and I will have to probably do some reading and digging about it before you see me struggling with the code. So thank you guys, and see you later.